Let me ask you something. Are you struggling to write your book? You've done the plotting, the characters, the outline, the theme, the synopsis. You've done a vision board. You may even have tens of thousands of words written. And suddenly, you're stuck. You've hit a wall. That happened to me at 90,000 words. And later in this video, I'm going to tell you the exact moment I realized what was wrong with my 90,000 word draft. Right now, the book that you're writing kind of feels like you're forcing it. You feel like you should love it. You should be excited to write it. It should give you all the warm, mushy, creative feelings. Now, to be fair, not every part of a book is to be magical and flowery. Sometimes writing is work. Sometimes discipline matters more than inspiration. But I also think there is something to be said about really listening to your gut. Is your gut trying to tell you something? Now, before we jump into any dramatic conclusions, let's test a few things. Have you tried changing a scene's location? Are your characters truly fleshed out? Are the stakes high enough? Maybe you should start a scene completely from scratch. Maybe you should end the scene in a different way and go in a different direction. Maybe you should let your characters make a wild and unexpected choice. Sometimes one small shift can unlock everything. If that works for you, great. But if none of it helps, there might be another question worth asking. Is this the book that you're supposed to be working on right now? Let me give you an example of my own writing journey. Now, I have a project. We're going to call it Project SW. I first came up with this idea when I was a teenager. Back then, I wrote it in a screenplay format because my brain naturally writes stories in a movie format. As well as when I was a teenager, I was very idealistic and thought that I would be able to write movies when I got older. That didn't happen. As well as writing and also writing stories like their movies can sometimes be a problem. Future video coming on that very soon. Every few years, I'd come back to Project SW and kind of tinker around with it. Then in 2022, I decided this is it. I'm going to turn it into a novel and it is going to be my debut book. At that point, I had never fully completed a book before, a story before, in a novel format. And I truly believed that Project SW would be the one. So I did everything. I did the plotting, the character arcs, story structure, all the things that writing videos tell you to do. By 2023, I had written 90,000 words. Let's take that in for a second. I wrote 90,000 words. It sounds amazing, but I'll explain to you later why it was actually a problem. Eventually, with Project SW, I hit a roadblock. The story, I was struggling a little with it. So I gave the manuscript to my dad to read. And in the kindest, most constructive way possible, he basically told me that the story got boring. The dreaded mushy middle. Now, I thankfully have pretty thick skin. I actually loved his honesty and his feedback, but I had no idea how to fix it, and I just kind of kept forcing it. Rereading and editing and writing, thinking the answer would come eventually. Then something unexpected happened. An idea. A new idea for a completely new story. Also around this time, I first heard about NaNoWriMo, which is the National November Writing Month. Hopefully that's right. And for the first time, I decided to challenge myself. It would be a setback because I would be writing from scratch, but I took the challenge. And 3 months later, I had written an entire book. That book has become my actual debut novel, The Summer of '94. And I couldn't believe it. After years and years of trying, I finally finished a book. Meanwhile, Project SW went into the shadows and started collecting dust. In 2024, I thought that I could repeat what I did with my debut novel and start another project. That would be Project H. I thought that Project H was going to be my second book. Watch this video for more details on that. And it was difficult. It was more difficult to kind of get the ball rolling on this project. And I did all the things. The vision board, the plotting, the structure. I knew what needed to be done. I just couldn't finish it. I couldn't get it going. Fast forward to January 2026. Are you still with me? Good. Okay, hang in there. My point is coming. So in January 2026, I received my content edits back for The Summer of '94. my book. And let me tell you, it was like getting a crash course in how to think professionally about writing a novel. I learned about genre expectations, word count ranges, pacing, structure, things that I had never even thought about before. And in February 2026, I finally had time to start working and writing again. So I jumped into Project H. I outlined it on my wall. I watched a bunch of writing videos. I tried organizing it chronologically, and still, I was stuck. Completely unmotivated. I like this story. I really do. So I kept asking myself, why can't I write this book? One night, while scrolling on Pinterest, I came across this post. And it said, sometimes a book isn't working because it's not ready to be written, or you're not ready to write it yet. Let it marinate so the idea can grow while you grow as a writer. That made me pause. Was my lack of motivation something that I needed to push through? Or was I trying to force the wrong story at the wrong time? Out of curiosity, I just opened up Google Docs and found Project SW, sitting there like a dusty relic. I opened it mostly for nostalgia's sake, but the moment that I started reading it, it was like a tidal wave of excitement that just hit me. Suddenly, I wanted to fix it. All the new editing knowledge that I had gained from writing and editing the summer of '94 just started firing in my brain. But at the same time, I felt really guilty because technically I was supposed to be working on Project H. That was something that I had established within myself. But then that Pinterest quote came to my brain again. Maybe the reason why I'm struggling so much is that Project H just needed more time to marinate. It wasn't ready to be written. I, as a writer, was not ready to write it. So I prayed about it and I realized something important. Project SW needed a lot of work. A lot of work. But the bones of the story were already there and were really strong. I already had the beginning, the middle, and the end. I had 90,000 words. And so I dove in and I couldn't stop. It felt just like when I had written my debut novel. I loved the characters again. I loved the story again. And honestly, the editing process became the most exciting part. Every time I found a mistake, I fixed it and I got like a little dopamine rush. I was identifying a lot of things like head hopping, POV switching, I'm really bad at that, and sloppy scene transitions. And then I realized the biggest problem with Project SW, the original draft, why the 90,000 words was actually bad. My story beats were quite repetitive. I had so many scenes that were basically doing the same emotional work over and over again. So I did something drastic. I stripped my manuscript down 20,000 words. That's a lot of filler. The book is now sitting at about 70,000 words, and I still plan to tighten it a little bit more because I haven't fully removed all the filler scenes yet. Why? Because this is a YA novel and that's kind of the genre standard. Now, I know there are exceptions, but this is something that I'm going to hold myself to. I'm also learning how to write internal thoughts better and how to describe the world through the protagonist's viewpoint instead of writing these cinematic establishing shots, so to speak. It is a huge learning process, but it has been so much fun. And now I truly believe that Project SW is going to be my second book. Eventually, Project H is going to be written and published. It's currently sitting at about 40,000 words. Yeah, and it's waiting patiently for its time. But right now, it's not the story that needs to be written. Looking back, it's actually quite funny. Originally, I thought that Project SW was going to be my debut novel. I was completely convinced of it. But reviewing that early draft, I am so glad that it never went out into the world and saw the light of day. Because I wasn't ready yet, and neither was the book. Now it's finally the right time. So if you're struggling with your book right now, I want to ask you something. Is the problem with your current story something that can be fixed with a scene change, a bold character choice, or a higher stake? Are you forcing it? Or is the reason you're stuck because of something bigger? Maybe there's another story inside of you that's actually ready to be written right now. Can you hear me? I got a microphone. That happened to me at 90,000 words. I don't know what I'm doing with my thumb. And later in this video, I'm going to tell you why. And let me ask you something. Oh, I already asked him something. Whoa, that was really big. Meanwhile, Project SW went